Zippity-doo-dah. Got the bare necessities, simple bare necessities. Hello! I've seen an enormous amount of stuff on Facebook and Instagram, and also too young people telling me, and I know the interest rates for homes are astronomical. I know, especially Florida, that homes are going for absolutely incredible amounts of money. And everybody, I mean, really, everybody from my age and younger are not complaining. Well, they are complaining. They say, I can't get a home. There's just no chance. I got good credit. I work hard, 2 or 3 jobs. I'm married or I'm not married. I can tell you right now, okay, and I'm not selling anything, right? Right now, no ifs, ands, or buts, unless you live in California or New Jersey or New York, or where else would it be? Very close, to a significant area, like say you live 12 miles outside of Houston or something like that. That you can get a home and a bunch of acreage for $30,000 or less. Sometimes free. And, I always made fun of, and it's true, there's scams or these people like, oh, you take my course or something like that, and I'll teach you how to buy a home with no money down. Just crazy stuff. And actually is possible under really, really ideal circumstances. Someone has like platinum credit. They literally can buy a home with 0 money down. But I mean, you and me and every normal person can't do that. So I'm not talking about any of that stuff. I'm talking about hardcore practical stuff I actually have experience with. I own quite a bit of land. I can tell you flat out, I look at land every day. How could you have a home and a significant piece of land? What's a significant piece of land? 5 acres and up. Even my realtor buddy, his farm and his home is just slightly less than 5 acres. You could do a lot on 5 acres. So for $30,000, you can do it. Some people want an ideal house, like situated in the city, and it's like, great, you've become the slave to the bank, and banks love slaves. They absolutely love it. They also, too, love usury. I don't know if you know what usury is. Everybody should know what usury is. It's like, yeah, I got a 30-year or 20-year mortgage. In other words, you're still going to be paying on it after you're dead. I think anybody that works hard and has an even halfway decent job or jobs after a period of 2 years or less, depending on what they make, can scrape together $30,000, and then you could actually have your house. Everybody wants everything all at once, rather than having the land and having a home that they could actually expand on. Here's how you do it. By the way, my buddy Judd Heisel, you can look him up, Judd Heisel Realty, Juddhisel. He's in Berea, Kentucky. He recently got a lot of really cheap land. I was looking at it the other day. One of them is 17 acres for $15,000, or is it 15 acres for $17,000? Just a hair over $1,000 an acre. He also too got a 223 acre parcel. It's like $200,000. I know that's a lot of money, but I mean, it's still less than $1,000 an acre. He got a 193 acre parcel, which is like, I think it's his price on it's $153,000. That's a lot of money, but that's also too an enormous amount of land. You can actually buy big parcels like that and subdivide them up. It's like, oh, I don't have the money. And say I'd really like this 150 plus acre piece, which is $150,000 that he has. And I see this stuff come up all the time. Actually, you could actually sell off the trees off of half of it, recoup most of your costs, go in partners with 1 or 2 people. You subdivide them up and have your own farm. I mean, 150 to 200 acres split 3 ways or 4 ways is an enormous amount of land. You're looking at roughly 40 plus acres of land. You split them up amongst 3 plus people. What if it's just you? You don't have any partners. You don't want to go into partners with anybody. In Kentucky, Tennessee, Kentucky's actually the cheapest land in the United States. Also, too, the most beautiful. I mean, I've seen just like really horrific looking scrub land with no water, no trees, nothing, in the middle of Nowheresville, Utah, and Idaho, and it's way more expensive than beautiful Kentucky land is. I mean, flat out, I'll look at land in every state. For 30,000 bucks, you could have a home and a nice piece of land. How could you do it? 5+ acres, upwards of 10 acres, depending on where it is and type of access that it has, of course. Looking at sticking in $16,000 for between, depending on the type of land it is in Kentucky, but it is not landlocked land. In other words, it has road access. Okay, it doesn't have its own private driveway or anything like that, but 16,000 bucks between 5 to 10+ acres. So now you got 16,000 in out of the $30,000 budget. You can go one of two routes that I'd actually recommend. There's actually other ways of doing it. The third way, which I'm not too keen on, but I've heard a lot of people actually do it, is they'll buy like a used single wide or an RV and build up their home slowly over a period of 1 to 2 years. You know, expand on the back of that, well, build behind it or in front of the single wide house. What I'd actually recommend, and some people don't like them because of the way they look, but they're Faraday cage insulated against most EMF, is empty storage containers. You buy 2 or 3 of those. Yeah, depending on where you get them from and how rusty they are, they're still really tough. You know, you put them up on cinder blocks, you paint them. You actually pay a welder, a torch cutter, to come out if you don't have those skills yourself. Come out to cut openings between the 2 or 3 or even 4 storage containers. And when these are actually decked out with I mean, they're really nice homes. And they're way tougher against hurricanes and bad weather, you know, as opposed to a typical brick house. Which these houses, even though this house that I'm in right now is a stick house built in the 50s, you know, those storage containers are way tougher. You know, you take 2 or 3 of those, you weld them up together. You don't even have to do that. And cut the doors open in them. I mean, you know, you don't have to worry about termites. You don't have to worry about EMF shielding on those suckers. Kentucky, too, you don't have restrictions in most places that keeps you from doing that. There are a lot of states where you don't have those restrictions. Another option, and it's my favorite actually because it's the coolest looking, and you can actually expand on the back of it, for example, with 2 storage containers. Say you get an extra kid or you and your wife have a kid, and you can expand it with either by your own hand or storage container, is you get one of the Amish built prefab cabins. Most of them are just under 10,000 bucks. They're really, really nice. They actually have a double decker inside of them for sleeping. They're more than roomy enough. They're actually extremely well built. They're Amish prefab cabins. You can look them up. 10,000 bucks all day long. $400 for spray foam insulation. You lay down a subfloor. You could do that yourself. I mean, even I could lay down subfloor inside of the. Actually, the prefabs are 10,000. Already have a subfloor. Lay down vinyl tiling. I mean, which would you rather have, a 20 or 30-year mortgage on the house of your dreams that you're constantly being drained out of, or something you can proudly say, you know, this is mine. It's paid for, you know, other than property taxes. Also, too, depending on the county that you're in, like 2 of my pieces of land have farming exemptions. And, you know, one of them is a nice piece of land, and my property taxes on it are $95 a year. I get a farming exemption. Even though I'm not farming there, it's like you have X number of acreage, you get a farming exemption on your land. Each county varies as far as the exemption you get depending on how much acreage it requires as per that county. You could do satellite internet, find a niche skill, and sell stuff. You know, solar panels, of course you have issues, not with solar panels, with actual battery arrays. I have lots and lots of solar panels. Solar panels are actually, like, you can't see it, but there's a 320 watt solar panel. It's like 5.5 feet tall by about 4+ feet wide. 3 or 4 of those is all you need in a battery bank. The cheap option, of course, is lead acid. Having water on the land, either that or having someone drill a hole. Bringing in your drinking water vis-a-vis a large container, like one of those 320-gallon cube units that I actually have at my cabin. You can actually get those from farmers for like $100 a piece. New, there's something like 500 a piece. Everything else can actually be rainwater collection from rain runoff, and I have that at my cabin too, or my my gutters actually drain into one of those super large storage containers. That's for doing laundry, washing, gray water basically. Absolutely everything other than directly drinking, for taking a shower from. I stick in a nice wood stove. You stick in a copper coil around your 6-inch stopper wood stove pipe, which is what I'm doing in my cabin after I finish installing my upgraded wood stove. But for 30,000 bucks, you literally can have a 5 to 10 acre farm, which is all the land you need for growing and your chicken coop, and a really nice home. And the most beautiful part of homes like that and land like that is it's paid for. You can't see it. It's on a piece of paperwork. No mortgage, no payment, very cheap property taxes every year. Here in Kentucky, you got trees for, your lumber for, I don't know how skilled you are at woodworking, but I mean, at least getting a log splitter and having, of course you need to cure the logs. You're not supposed to be throwing green logs into your wood stove, but you could also, too, subdivide that out. If you say, well, this piece, I can't really afford it. What if you finance it and actually parcel it off? My buddy bought an acre plus off of me a few months ago. It's only costing him $300 in lawyer fees. I signed over, we mapped it out with the GPS, with a piece that he bought off of me. And just a couple $100, you just parcel that off to a friend or to somebody else. You don't have to sell it. You could have a rental agreement. It's like, hey, you plop down your own little cabin, a single wide. We signed a 10-year contract here. You pay X number of money per month. So you actually can have, if you can't afford, say I can only afford 20 acres, and a beautiful 50-acre piece comes up. It's like I can't really swing it. I have to finance the 50-acre piece. I could afford 20 acres of it. So what? Parcel it up. Rent it out or sell it off, or depending on the type of old growth trees that are on that, you could actually sell the trees that are on there. And they're not actually clear cutting the land, they're only taking the large growth trees off there. They'll leave the saplings and the stuff that they don't want. So it's not actually an eyesore after they do that. That was done on one piece of my land a year and a half ago, and I used that to buy a lot of necessary stuff and also too to pay bills, and there's still it's barely noticeable. Really, you have to know what you're looking at to notice that the trees were taken off of there. And it was only 5 acres of trees that were removed from my land. So for all the young people out there, like, I can't afford a home, you go on Zillow, you look at regular homes within the city. It's like, well, why not go 20 miles outside of the city? Why? Why not? 30,000 bucks. And of course, some land is exorbitantly expensive. California land, New Jersey, New York. I've even seen cheap land in Michigan, and I wouldn't want to live that far north, but that's just me. You can have a nice home to do with whatever you want. Do what you want as you please. No mortgage, nobody bothering you. 30,000 bucks. All the land you want to romp on, to grow things. Anybody with a halfway decent job or 2 halfway decent jobs can afford to buy 5 to 10 acres, once again depending on the land, and stick a nice home on it. An Amish prefab, they're really, really well built. Type in Amish prefab cabin. Yep, especially the ones in Kentucky. I know a couple places sell them. They're $9,995, yeah? They build them in a day. Boom, 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 boom. They're really fast. The Amish have built a lot of cabins and a lot of barns and a lot of homes. They charge like $500 to $1,000 to deliver to your property. Depending on how far off-grid you want to go, you could hook into the power if it's like right on the road. A lot of people don't want to do that. They want to go completely off-grid. I mean, I kind of like having electricity, not having to worry about battery banks. And my cabin, I have no issue with that. But here, I kind of need that. I really don't. I could do that here. I actually have enough solar panels and batteries here that I could go completely off-grid in the inner city of Lexington. I could do that if I technically wanted to, but I know a lot of people are really upset and they're complaining all over the place, and I understand that interest rates are super high and homes are totally unaffordable, but you're looking at the wrong home. I would not mind living in one of those shipping containers. They actually put 3 of them together. The best ones I've seen is a 2-story. They put 2 of them together, they weld it, and they cut out a doorway between the both. And then they have a little stairway that leads up to the top, which is where the sleeping quarters is at. And it's awesome. They're actually really quite awesome. They're virtually indestructible. You're never going to have to worry about termites, so consider those options. And the land is out there. If you really want it, you can have it, no problem. $30,000 will get you an incredible piece of land and the prefab house to put on it. It really will. That's not like ideal circumstances. It could happen today. Like someone said, here's $30,000, find it. Right now I know for 100% certainty, right now, and a piece of land, I know 2 pieces of land, for $30,000, and they're both over 10 acres. Yeah. I could buy either one of those pieces of land and stick an Amish prefab on it, or 3 to 4 shipping containers. 100% certain. No ifs, ands, or buts. So consider that. A lot of people ask me about that. It's like, I can't afford it, you know. You really can. You might have to save for a year or 2. But most people have 20 or 30-year mortgages. Who cares if you have to save money? Squirrel some money away. 2 years, you could have your own farm and your own house paid for. Do whatever the hell you want on it. Period. There's no strings attached. There's no, fine print on this video. It's undeniable. I look at land and look for land every day. Thanks so much for watching. My email and contact is in the info description below this video. Thanks for watching.